Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Neil, and today we're going to play a little Geoguessr. One of the things I know I need to work on to go from being a mediocre Geoguessr player to a really good one is to quickly be able to identify what country I'm in. Sometimes there's obvious clues, sometimes there's more subtle stuff. So I'm going to spend the next number of weeks exploring the countries of GeoGuessr one by one. Best way to do that is with Explorer mode, where you can play a game just in one country and start identifying clues, hints, tips that'll make it easier to spot the next time you're there. I, in particular, have a challenge in Eastern Europe, in Southeast Asia, being able to distinguish the various nations. The other thing I know I need to learn and learn quickly is one of the most basic bits of meta information in the GeoGuessr game, and that is which countries Google Street View is available for. And you can see them on this map. Anything shaded in darker gray is covered by Google Street View and therefore may be in any game of GeoGuessr. Anything shaded in that lighter gray is not covered by Google Street View and will never come up in GeoGuessr. So it's really useful to know that there's only certain countries in Africa that are covered, that a lot of South America isn't covered, of Central America rather, that you'll never end up in China or Myanmar or Vietnam. Much of the Middle East is eliminated, so if you do get something that feels Middle Eastern, your options are very few. Tunisia, Israel, Jordan, maybe Turkey, and that's about it. These sorts of things. So as I said, over the next number of weeks, I'm going to be playing Explorer mode with and for you. In large part, it's for me to learn and discover new things. But I'm going to start off by teaching you a little bit about my home country, Canada, in Explorer mode, and give you maybe a few tips about Canada and how to distinguish it from the US. So let's go. I'm going to give freedom to move around here so that I can point out a few things for you and we're not stuck just by wherever we happen to be plunked down. If you want to memorize a few key area codes in North America, those are always very useful. And the one that I see here, 416, is probably the most common area code in Canada, and that means we are in Toronto, in the central Toronto area. Most of southern Ontario is also very, very flat. If you can see mountains on the horizon in Canada and you're in an urban environment, you're pretty much sure to be in Calgary or Vancouver. There aren't a lot of other, you're certainly in the west. So we're on Victoria Road South and Stone Road East. I saw another sign here that may be useful. University of Guelph. So, well, that's the danger of advertising. We are further from Toronto than I thought we were. Not incredibly far, but we are out in Guelph, which is a more rural city. And there's Victoria Road, and there's Stone Road. And that's where we are. Okay, now this is encouraging, and that sign's certainly going to help us. Now we've got mountains. This could be British Columbia. This could be Alberta. It could be the north. It could be Yukon. especially now that I see things like Arctic. That's a good clue that we're up in the north. What else is on this sign that might tell us? Well, Taylor could be the name of the town in the Yukon, um, but I am going to suggest that we're in the Yukon as opposed to the Northwest Territories or Nunavut. Roads in Nunavut are very rare, and I'm curious how much coverage there may be of Google Street View. So this is the Yukon. Only, if I'm correct, about 30 or 40,000 people live in the entire territory. There aren't going to be any huge cities. Whitehorse is the capital. I haven't heard of Taylor, but that doesn't mean it's not that it's not a place. But it could also be part of Whitehorse, and it could just be a name of a little business district. It might not be anything more than that. Let's see if we can find another clue. Canada's very good at including street names. Um, there's a lot of Scottish sounding ones that are named after our early prime ministers. Sir John A. Macdonald was our first. We're on Macdonald Road at Centennial. You'll see a lot of centennials too because it's a young country. Canada was formed in 1867, and so our centennial was 1967. It wasn't that long ago. In the Canadian North, and by that I don't just mean the actual territories, but even in many of the northern provinces, like in the north of many of the provinces, you'll see very simple buildings, modular, um, because there's everything needs to get shipped up. Klondike, there's another giveaway that we're almost certainly in the Yukon. I just wish I knew what town this could be. Um, but the fact that it says Klondike makes me think it might be Dawson. Again, no guarantee that we're in Dawson. And this is one of the challenges about playing Geoguessr in Canada is if you're wrong, you could be 1,000 kilometers wrong and still be in the same province or territory. It's just such a big country. I think we have 6 time zones. St. John's, the capital of Newfoundland in the east, is closer to Central Europe than it is to Vancouver on the west coast. It's a big old country. Porter Creek. Oh, here's a Centennial Street, so that might be something. And here's McDonald. Okay, and there's Klondike Welding. So what was our original spot? So we're just on the outskirts of Whitehorse, folks, at the corner, just west of Centennial and McDonald. So I think we're right there. Boom. Okay. Canadian suburbia. It's a miracle home. We haven't had any cases yet, but um, a lot of people wonder whether Canada has French and English signs everywhere. That's not the case. While French and English are both official national languages, signage laws are provincial, and there's only one province where both languages are official, and that's New Brunswick. In Quebec, the only official language is French, and there's a whole set of signage laws where the English, you'll see a lot of bilingual signs in Quebec, but there's rules that the English cannot be larger than the French. Just because there's water on the west doesn't mean we're on the west coast. Canada has more coastline than any other country in the world. Oh no, this is interesting. This isn't a guarantee, but look at the street signs. They have the French rue and the English street. So it could be New Brunswick, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't feel like a huge town, but that's the case for a lot of Canada. Well, we do have some big cities. We have a lot more small towns. And again, there's no guarantee that this is in fact New Brunswick. Many cities can include French spelling if they're so inclined. There's Shipyard Lobster is another. We're practically guaranteeing we're in Atlantic Canada now. We're also narrowing it down. It could put us in Prince Edward Island, which would fit with the small town feel. First Street and water. I mean, don't all these homes just kind of look like they could? Summerside. There we go. I might have missed that on the first pass. Summerside's the second biggest city in Prince Edward Island. The capital is Charlottetown, right here, but Summerside is here. So we've come down to Water Street, and we're at First and Water right now. I think we came down on, was it Northumberland? Yeah, so let's go back to our starting point and see what intersection we are at. Honestly, if this says Summerside there, I'm going to be a little angry at myself. I'm going to say it's too blurry for me to have made out, but we are at Cedar and North Market. It was right there for the looking. Cedar and North Market. Here's North Market, and where is Cedar? There we are. Okay, without even looking around, this feels very prairies, which includes western Manitoba, almost all of Saskatchewan, um, Alberta, and the fact that there's not a mountain to be seen certainly helps reinforce that. So this highway is running east-west. It's entirely possible that we're on the Trans-Canada. So let's see what we see. This curve makes me think we're like, you don't understand how flat and straight the highways are in Saskatchewan. It's like Australia, and you just put the club on your steering wheel, take a nap, and you're gonna stay on the road. Alberta. Okay, so we're in Alberta. If we are, I would say southeastern Alberta because I don't see the Rockies anywhere, and they would be, the foothills of them would be in that direction to the west. Yeah, no sign. So, the Rockies form the spine between British Columbia and Alberta. This is the prairies, this whole region. And there are additional mountain ranges running sort of primarily north south, but with a bit of a tilt to the west throughout British Columbia. The next most major one are the Coast Mountains, which strangely enough are along the coast. And there's other ranges in between the Rockies and the Coast Mountains, the Bugaboos, the Monashees. Um, it's a very mountainous province throughout, especially in the south. But I am going to wager we're in southeastern Calgary, in southeastern Alberta. Where exactly, I don't know yet. But let's see if we can find a clue. Okay, we are on. That's the 16A East. That is, I'm 90% sure, the symbol for the Trans Canada. Although I don't see a number one on it, but that maple, the green, the white maple leaf on the green background is the symbol of the Trans Canada Highway. So we're approaching Lloydminster from the west. Now Lloydminster is, where is Lloydminster? Ah, that's why I don't recognize it, because we're on the 16. So we are west of Lloydminster. Oh, another Canadian thing. I'm not sure if it'll actually ever help you on Geoguessr, but it's a deal. Every single one of our airports has a 3-letter code that starts with Y. Why Canada got Y, nobody knows. You know, every other city in the world seems to have one that's based on the name of the city or the name of the airport. But all of Canada's airports have a code that starts with Y. Vancouver is YVR, Toronto is YYZ, YUL is Montreal. It makes zero sense whatsoever, but fun little Canada trivia. Anyway, we're somewhere along the Yellowhead Highway here, much closer to Vegreville than I thought. Okay, so 120 kilometers off, but on the right road. Okay, final search. Suburban. In general, if you see coniferous trees in Canada, you're more likely west and north. If you see deciduous, you're more likely south and east, but that's by no means hard and fast. There are deciduous trees throughout Vancouver, for instance, but we also have a ton of firs and pines and spruce and that sort of thing. Another general rule of thumb, brick homes are more of an eastern thing than a western thing. And I haven't seen them here, but a subtle clue to distinguish Canada from the US. are speed limit signs. Canada has the metric system, the US does not. So if you see a highway speed limit of 90, 100, 110, 120, you're in Canada. If you see a highway speed limit of 55, 60, 65, 70, you're in the US. If you see a city speed limit of 50, you're in Canada. If you see a city speed limit of 30, you're in the US, in all likelihood. The speed limit for Canadian school zones might be 30. But metric versus non-metric does play. Also, gas stations. It's dollars per gallon in the U.S., so you typically get prices in the $2, $3, $4 range depending on the state and when that photo was taken. In Canada, it's Canadian dollars per liter, so you typically see prices in the 1 to 150 range. What do we have here? Lavinia and Davidson. Not very helpful. But the architecture definitely tells me Eastern rather than Western. Now, to be clear, when someone in Vancouver says Eastern, they mean anything from Ontario east. Even though Ontario, in the grand scheme of things, is central, and Torontonians think of themselves as the center of the universe, everyone to the west of them definitely labels them Eastern Canada. We have this symbol here, that three leaf on the top right of the sign is the trillium, I think, and it's the provincial flower of Ontario. So I'm gonna bet we're in Ontario. I'll tell you. Yes, Smiths Falls, heart of the Rideau. So the Rideau is a tributary of the St. Lawrence. Ottawa is on the Rideau. Or sorry. Yes, this is the Rideau River that flows into the Ottawa River that flows into the St. Lawrence. Ottawa's famous for the Rideau Canal, which every winter freezes over and becomes the world's largest outdoor skating rink. But we're in Smiths Falls. Which is right here. And what street intersection were we on when we started here? We are north of Lavinia and St. Lawrence. Let's do a quick look around. Hopefully it won't take too long to find. There's St. Lawrence, there's Lavinia. We were about halfway up that block if I was to guess. There we go. So, hopefully you guys learned a few things about Canada on Geoguessr. I'm going to make this a weekly feature where I play Explorer mode in a single country. From this point forward, I'm going to focus on countries that I need to learn more about. So I'm looking forward to hearing your tips and tricks in the comment section as I go along. If there's a country that you'd like to see me do, by all means, comment and let me know. And that's that. Thank you so much for hanging out. Stay safe, be kind, and see you soon. Cheers.